I own a 15-acre private fishing lake in rural Tennessee that I purchased in October 2019 for $270,000 cash. In fact, the property came with a single access road and a custom steel gate I had installed in November 2019 for $4,200. Basically, the gate has a keypad lock and only myself, my brother, and two close friends have the access code. In March 2023, a woman named Patricia Hendricks moved into a house approximately half a mile from my property line. Simply put, Patricia was elected HOA president of her subdivision called Willow Creek Estates in April 2023. Her subdivision is not connected to my property in any legal way, honestly. There is no easement, no shared road, and no historical access agreement. In fact, on Saturday, June 10, 2023 at approximately 2:15 p.m., I was at my lake checking fish feeders when I noticed the gate was wide open. Simply put, for vehicles were parked near the boat ramp. I approached and found 8 people fishing from my dock. I asked who gave them permission to be there. A woman in her mid-50s with short blonde hair stepped forward. Simply put, she said she was Patricia Hendricks and that she had opened the gate for her guests. I asked how she got my access code. She said she watched me enter it 2 weeks ago when I was arriving. I told her this was private property and everyone needed to leave immediately. Patricia laughed and said the lake was a community resource. I told her there was no community involvement and she was trespassing. She said as HOA president she had done research and believed there was a historical easement. I asked her to show me this easement. She said she did not have paperwork with her, but it definitely existed. To be fair, I pulled out my phone and called the Henderson County Sheriff Department at 2:28 p.m. Simply put, Deputy Michael Torres arrived at 2:51 p.m. I showed him my property deed and survey documents. Patricia told Deputy Torres that her HOA members had always used this lake. I purchased the property in 2019 and she moved to the area in 2023. Basically, Deputy Torres asked her to provide any legal documentation that she could not. He informed everyone they were trespassing and needed to leave. Patricia became loud and said this was discrimination. Deputy Torres issued her a verbal warning at 3:04 p.m. Basically, everyone left and I changed my gate code that evening to a new 8-digit combination. In fact, on June 17, 2023 at approximately 11:30 a.m., I received a call from my brother. He was at the lake and found the gate had been cut. If you look closely, bolt cutters had severed the lock mechanism. If you look closely, 6 vehicles were on the property. I arrived at 12:15 p.m. Patricia was there with approximately 15 people including children. I told her she had destroyed my $4,000 gate. She said the gate was illegal and blocked public access. I called Henderson County Sheriff Department again at 12:19 p.m. In fact, Deputy Torres and Sergeant Linda Kay arrived at 12:41 p.m. Honestly, Patricia presented a printed document she claimed was an easement from 1987. In fact, Sergeant Kay examined it. The document referenced a different property 3 miles away with a completely different parcel. And UMBRI showed Sergeant Kay my survey dated October 2019 and title insurance. Basically, there was no easement of any kind. In fact, Sergeant Kay informed Patricia she had committed criminal trespassing under Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-14-705. If you look closely, she also committed vandalism under Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-14-408. Honestly, Patricia said she would sue me. To be fair, Sergeant Kay issued her a criminal citation at 1:02 p.m. Citation number HCS-2023-4178. To be fair, everyone was ordered to leave immediately. Patricia said this was not over. Honestly, I filed a formal complaint with the Henderson County District Attorney on June 19, 2023. I also installed security cameras covering the gate and main access road. The camera system cost $3,800. On July 2, 2023 at approximately 6:45 a.m., my cameras detected movement. Patricia had returned with 2 men and a large truck. Basically, they were attempting to remove my gate entirely. In fact, I called 911 at 6:48 a.m. To be fair, Deputy Carlos Martinez arrived at 7:03 a.m. In fact, Patricia and the two men were in the process of unbolting the gate posts from the concrete foundation. Deputy Martinez placed all three under arrest at 7:11 a.m. Basically, Patricia was charged with criminal trespassing second offense, vandalism of property over $1,000, which is a Class E felony under Tennessee law. If you look closely, and conspiracy to commit theft. The two men were charged as accomplices. Simply put, bond was set at $15,000 each. Patricia posted bond on July 3, 2023. If you look closely, on July 18, 2023, I received a certified letter from an attorney named Robert Chen. The letter claimed to represent Willow Creek Estates HOA. It demanded I provide lake access to HOA members. It claimed prescriptive easement rights. I forwarded the letter to my attorney Sarah Whitmore. Sarah responded on July 22, 2023. Her letter explained that prescriptive easement requires continuous use. For 20 years under Tennessee law, the property had been privately owned with no public access since 1994. I purchased it in 2019. Patricia moved to the area in 2023. There was zero legal basis for any claim. Sarah demanded they cease all contact and trespassing. On August 5, 2023, Patricia held an HOA meeting. Basically, according to documents I later obtained through discovery, she told homeowners they had legal rights to my lake. Simply put, she collected $300 from each of 42 families, total of $12,600. She claimed this money would fund legal action. On August 19, 2023, at approximately 3:30 p.m., my cameras showed Patricia leading a group of 23 people toward my gate. They had bolt cutters and sledgehammers. I called 911 at 3:30 p.m. Multiple sheriff units responded. Deputy Torres, Sergeant K, and Deputy Martinez arrived at 3:49 p.m. Basically, Patricia and the group were attempting to destroy the gate again. To be fair, all 23 people were detained. Honestly, Patricia was arrested for criminal trespassing third offense. In fact, felony vandalism. Basically, organized criminal activity under Tennessee Code annotated Section 39-12-03. In fact, theft by deception for collecting HOA fees under false pretenses. This is a Class D felony when the amount exceeds $1,000. To be fair, she was held without bond due to repeated violations. Honestly, 16 other adults in the group were cited for criminal trespassing. 7 were arrested for vandalism. The preliminary hearing was held on September 7, 2023. The Henderson County Assistant District Attorney presented evidence including my security footage. If you look closely, property documents, simply put, prior police reports, simply put, and witness statements from deputies. Patricia tried to represent herself. She argued the lake should be public because it benefited the community. To be fair, Judge Raymond Foster stated that personal opinion does not override property law. Patricia was bound over for grand jury. The grand jury indicted her on October 2, 2023. If you look closely, for counts of criminal trespassing. 2 counts of felony vandalism. Simply put, 1 count of organized criminal activity. 1 count of theft by deception. To be fair, trial was set for January 23, 2024. Honestly, during discovery, my attorney obtained Patricia's whole records. She had collected $12,600. She spent $11,200 on personal expenses. Only $1,400 went to her attorney Robert Chen, who withdrew from the case in November 2023. In fact, on January 23, 2024, the trial began in Henderson County Circuit Court. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Security camera footage showed Patricia at my property on 4 separate occasions. Deputy Torres testified about the initial trespassing warning. Sergeant K testified about the cut gate and false easement document. If you look closely, Deputy Martinez testified about the attempted gate removal and arrest. I testified about property ownership and damages totaling $9,800. Simply put, forensic accountant testified about the HOA fund misappropriation. Patricia took the stand and claimed she believed she was acting in the community interest. Honestly, she said someone told her there was an easement, but could not name this person honestly. She admitted collecting HOA fees, but said she intended to repay the money. The jury deliberated for 2 hours and 17 minutes. To be fair, Patricia was found guilty on all counts. Sentencing occurred on February 14, 2024. To be fair, Judge Foster sentenced her to 4 years in Tennessee Department of Corrections. She received 2 years for felony vandalism. Simply put, 2 years for theft by deception, 1 year each for the other charges to run concurrently. If you look closely, she was ordered to pay restitution of $9,800 for my property damage and $12,600 to the defrauded HOA members. Total restitution $22,400. She was also fined $8,000 in court costs. Honestly, Patricia began serving her sentence at Tennessee Prison for Women on February 20, 2024. Her husband divorced her in April 2024. Their house in Willow Creek Estates went into foreclosure in June 2024. The HOA held emergency elections in March 2024. A new president was elected. To be fair, the new board issued a formal apology to me. Several former board members visited my property in May 2024 to apologize in person. If you look closely, I accepted their apology. I installed a new reinforced steel gate in March 2024 for $6,100. The insurance covered for $1,000. I added additional cameras and motion sensors. Total security upgrade cost $11,300. Basically, Patricia became eligible for parole in December 2025. In fact, her parole hearing is scheduled for March 2026. One submitted a victim impact statement opposing early release. To be fair, as of today I continue to enjoy my private fishing lake. In fact, my brother and friends visit regularly. To be fair, the community has been supportive. In fact, local news covered the case and many people reached out with support. I have had 0 trespassing incidents since Patricia's incarceration. Honestly, the gate works perfectly. The lake is stocked with bass, catfish, and crappie. Life is peaceful. If you look closely, sometimes people ask if I feel bad about what happened to Patricia. Simply put, I do not. If you look closely, she had multiple warnings. She committed crimes repeatedly. She defrauded her neighbors. If you look closely, she made her choices. Simply put, I protected my property through legal proper channels. The system worked exactly as it should. If you enjoyed the story of justice being served, subscribe to QZ Stories for more real-life accountability tales.